this segment, we want to take a look at using the tool for funds as opposed to individual stocks. By funds, I mean ETFs, mutual funds, etc. So in this example, I've already input the QQQ and a similar fund called the XLK, which is the technology sector fund. And at a quick glance, what you see is that both of them are all green, so they're good. How would you go about deciding between the two? Well, one of the things that you can do is you can actually, like on the QQQ, if you want to evaluate that fund, you can click on it and it pops up the top 10 holdings and the percentage of those holdings of the whole fund. So the top 10 holdings in the QQQ represent greater than 50% of the entire funds. So that gives you a quick idea, and you can take a look and see which ones those are, get a feel for whether those are kind of companies you want to be involved with. The other thing you can do, and in this case, I would hold the shift key and click on both of these, and it brings them both up at the same time. And as you can see, there's a connection down here, a box where you can say highlight unique positions, which I always leave on. They can be off and you look at them, but if you click it, it then shows you which ones are unique, meaning where is there no overlap. So I can look at the technology sector fund and see that there's Visa, MasterCard, etc. That are not in the QQQ, and yet the QQQ has Amazon, Tesla, Facebook, and Alphabet or Google. That may be data that helps you decide which way you want to go. You may want the financial representation, so you go this way, or you may prefer this. Now remember, just because these show as unique positions, they're unique in the top 10. For example, Adobe is in all likelihood a holding of QQQ, just not in the top 10. So don't confuse those two. But this gives you a quick snapshot of how you do that. For the sake of the example, I'm going to import the QQQ. So I just come down here and click on that. And if you remember right, the top 10 holdings represent about 50% of the funds. What this does is it reallocates it to be as if it were 100%. So you can see what percentages literally they would be as opposed to just when they're the top 10. So this portfolio, when you see this, you can look at it and you can see it's a 178 over 83 for the top 10. That's a pretty nice portfolio to have. If you come over here and just hover over it for a minute, you can kind of look at it and say, okay, portfolio B, which was our QQQ in its entirety, was 127 over 91. So we really like that upside. We may or may not be as crazy about the downside capture because it's still somewhat volatile. If you look at the top 10 funds on their own, you're now looking at a major improvement. The downside's about the same. There's a decent improvement from 91 down to 83. But the real improvement comes from 127 upside to 178 upside. So you can sit there and go, wow, just by that simple thing, just investing in the top 10 funds in the same percentages, I've really improved that. And that may be what you want to do. You may want to sit there and say, yeah, that is pretty cool. I like it. I want to take it a step further. When you look at these 10, now what I want to do, and this is just an example of the power of the system. If you remember right, I like all green. So I'm just going to go here and remove any asset that is not all green. So now you can see I'm down to 5 of these stocks of the top 10. I now want to equal weight them. So I'm back to 100%. And you can play with the percentages to get what number you want down here and managing to your downside. You can do that with the tool. But a quick glance at equal weight shows me where we are here. Now, let's go back and look at this. And I think you can tell what I'm doing, but if I hold the hover over any of the portfolios over here, I look at them and I can see them here and I can compare the two. So when we started with 127 over 91, I've now adjusted it down to 5, and you can see I've improved it even more. It's now 198% upside with 75% downside. I really like that personally. I'm pretty happy with that. That's a great 5 stock portfolio. And you may decide that's exactly what you want to do for your entire portfolio. You may say, well, it's all technology and I want technology to be 50% of my portfolio. And I now have 50% of my portfolio here. Again, your decision on how you want to build that. We're giving you the data and the tool to be able to do the proper analysis in order to make a high probability decision based on your personal preferences and your investor profile. So this gives you an example of how you can do that. It gives you an example of how you can go through and fine tune any fund to find the stocks that you want. You can, of course, simply evaluate the fund as a standalone because you want to stay with an index fund, or you can do this to find the best stocks that you want. By the way, there is a term in the industry for doing this, finding individual stocks, where you allow the money managers to make all the tough decisions, find out what their top 10 are, and then fine tune it from there. And it's called direct indexing. I'm a big fan of it because I think it gets a lot of the work out of the way and allows you to focus on a handful to a dozen or 20 or 30 stocks, whatever number you're comfortable with, and really do an evaluation. And don't forget, once you get to this point, you then still have the tool that gives you all the financial metrics, et cetera, because now you're looking at individual stocks that we explained and showed in the previous segments. So it gives you a real good ability to hone in on the best stocks or to hone in on the index funds that really fit your style. And again, the tool gives you the power to do either or both.